Hey guys, Steven Servo here. Today's video is going to get straight to the point. I'm not going to do any type of talking head, type of conversation. I'm just going to kind of get straight to the point. All right, so here I have a client laptop that has a broken LCD. All right, so I'm going to show you how to strip this casing off, this top lid off, to get into the back of the display so that you know what display to order. So a lot of people make the mistake when they are getting ready to replace one of these screens, they'll actually put the model number of the laptop, which can work, but you'll notice when you do that, you get really general results. You don't always get the best results. So we're actually going to get into the back panel and get the exact model number of this panel itself. Now, a couple things. All right, so you don't have to. You see that I actually separated the top assembly from the bottom assembly. You do not have to do that. Again, you do not have to do that. The reason I did that is because I made a deal with the gentleman on eBay where he was actually just going to sell me the entire top assembly. So I had it for a really good deal. Anyway, moral of the story, he backed out. So I had already kind of broke this down, taken this apart, figured I didn't really need it, but now I do. So instead, we're going to go ahead and get into this display. And I'm going to kind of show you how I do it. And then after we get into the display, you'll see the model number. And then next week when I get this display in, I'll show you how to reinstall it. And since you guys didn't get to see the breakdown of taking off the top assembly from the bottom assembly, I'll go ahead and show you that in reverse. So then, if you ever needed to do it, you could obviously just reverse the process. So one thing I hope is I was a little rough on this connector. It looks fine actually though. Nothing's separated, so at least not that I see. So we are good to go. You can reorder these if needed, but I don't want to have to do that. So just remember, when you're replacing the display, these two are very important to keep safe because these are going to stay with this top housing. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and move this out of the way. And if you watch my other videos, we're going to do very similar from the start, actually. So I'm going to take out my favorite little handy dandy tool, electronics toolkit in this scenario is, in my opinion, a must. You really do need it. Sometimes you can get away without using it, but you're starting to get into electronics. There's these portions down here are generally glued, so you need something that can safely, effectively scrape the scrape that glue away. And so yeah, if you're going to do something like this, just invest in an electronics toolkit. You're starting to get into the intricate parts of the internals where if you don't feel comfortable doing it, don't ruin it and make it more expensive for yourself. Just have somebody else do it. But obviously, that's not why you're here with me today. So we're going to go ahead and take this apart. So just like before, I'm going to start from one side here. And I'm going to get this thing pulled up. So you see I'm getting under it here. And all right, so I got it started, which is good. So once you get it started, very important, you don't break these connectors off because then it won't go back on properly. So now is what I'm going to do. Hope you guys can see that. I actually don't have a view of the camera. So I'm actually going to slide this across and kind of slide it across the outside here. And it'll kind of just take those pins up But if it doesn't, you actually start feeling some tension where those pins are. And that's kind of when I would pry up in case I needed to do that. But I'm just going to work really slowly. It's not a race. It is not a race. So you see I'm still using the same prying tool where it has this little ridge up. That's good because when you get under it, all you got to kind of do is torque it up a little bit, and up comes the paneling. So I'm kind of doing this to where I can't see, just so you guys can, so bear with me here. So I'm actually going to lift this up a little bit. If I have too much trouble, I'm going to actually turn it towards me so I can see, which in my case, I'm actually going to do, guys. Sorry about that, but you get the idea. So, but I actually just need to be able to see what I'm doing, so it'll make it a lot quicker. You guys get the idea. And like I said, guys, easy does it. Don't force it and start snapping these pins off. So you got to buy a whole new top assembly. It's very hard and very rare to just find these like outside shrouding. So if you really screw it up, you're gonna have to take one and go ahead and just buy the whole new upper assembly. If you can find it, if somebody's, if somebody has it. In my case, I have a set rate for my customer, and so I actually refuse to be able to pay that, So right here, you'll see there's a little break, that's because, I can't pull it up anymore. That's because the rest of this is actually under this cover, this housing. This is kind of like a beautification fascia, so to speak. It's here to make it look nice because what's underneath is more practical than elegant, so to speak. Now I have already, I do know how to take these apart, so I will tell you, sometimes there's glue down here, sometimes they're not. In this case, there is. Now, in preparation for not being here all day, I went ahead and actually already scraped that, but I'll kind of show you guys the idea. Take a little scraper tool like this, and you can actually already see the glue from where I've pulled it up. And remember, this is a broken panel, so you're not really going to hurt it. So you're just going to kind of shove that underneath and just work your way down. You'll feel that plastic. Like I said, don't force it. So yeah, just, you see that motion, just kind of pulling it in and out, and it's going to slowly break away that. It's going to slowly break away that glue. This is going fast because, like I said, I've already removed most of that glue. But you want to take your time with that process. So after you do that, we're going to go down to the outside here. So you'll see right here, hopefully, where it's separated from the top of the top of the lid. You see that little line? That's actually where we're going to be prying. So let me get it in there, just so I'll be able to see. And hopefully I can show you guys. Yep, so you see? And you're just going to pry it on up. And it is, so hard working from different angles. Something I'm going to have to get good at. So I'm going to go ahead and flip this. And hopefully you guys can still somewhat see. I'm going to go ahead and flip this so I can see what I'm doing here. I really can't afford to mess this up, so. Now you can use whatever prying technique you want. I didn't really learn from anybody in particular. So I'm sure if you watched some people that, some people do it different. This is the way that works for me. Of course, I use plastic on any side that is customer facing. Anything the customer can see, just know if you use metal, it will at the very least damage the looks of it. So I got it kind of to a point where I feel comfortable starting to pry it up by hand. There we go. Alright, so now we got this little guy. Now, so people get confused about stuff like this, because one might think that this is a separate piece entirely from this, because it's a different material. Well, I'm here to tell you it is not. So is what some people do is they'll sit here and rip on it. Why is it not coming off? Why is it not coming off? And then they'll snap this. So please don't do that. Instead, like I said, golden rule. 1, you use metal. Make sure there's no electronics underneath that you could be scraping or damages. I just happen to know that there's not. But this is not customer facing. The customer cannot see this. And it's going to do no damage to it. So I'm actually going to use a little bit different tool to go ahead and pry this up. And so I'm going to kind of leverage it a little bit. And you'll see little spots down in there where you could get in there and lift it up. And as you go, you kind of know where the pins are, right? Or the little clips. But like I said, take your time. It's not a race. It is not a race. So hopefully, yeah, I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to film these. I struggled with the other video in working with the camera in front of me, but then again, the plus side of it was I could see where the camera was. So I kind of did a nice wide angle, so hopefully you guys can see it all right. But we'll work through it. I'll continue providing it content, and I'll continue getting better at it, guys. So there we go. So it has come up. Got stuck a little bit. All right, so that's good. Got this piece off. No breaks, no damage visible to the customer. Not even so much as scrapes on the outside. I think over here somewhere, I may have lost a clip. Nope, actually I did not. I did not lose any clips, which is good. You lose 1 or 2, you're gonna be all right. You start losing a bunch, and you got yourself a problem. So, all right, I'll go ahead and put that off to the side for now. Get these tucked out of the way. Don't want anything to do with that. Nothing to do with it. That needs to stay safe for the customer. So now here's where I'm going to take out the screwdriver. Now, there's different screws, but in this instance, we're going to be concentrating on these inner screws. So let's go ahead and pull this out. And usually I have something magnetic. I actually do have something magnetic that we'll use to go ahead and put these in. May not be the purpose for it, but I don't want to lose them. And so, yeah, I originally wanted to do a lot more IT-related things. When I say IT, I mean, I wanted to go over, like, career tips and the do's and don'ts and the best certifications to get and how I did it and the right amount of knowledge. Is it worth it to be in computer repair nowadays? Or is it, is it better to be a systems admin? Or what's your passion based on this, that, the other thing? Those are kind of the issues I wanted to tackle, and I'm still going to. But, I have this little side hustle in which I repair computers, so I might as well bring you guys along for that. It's a new channel. It doesn't have a lot of views. This starts getting my name out there, shows people that hopefully, at least I hope, that it's quality content, or at least it's informative content, and I'll work on the quality of the video and stuff. as we go. So now that that's up, we should be able to pull that panel up. Let me just verify that we can pull that panel up. And yep. All right. So don't yank this straight out. There is a cable here that you need to disconnect. There's a connector that you got to disconnect. So you're going to pull that up slightly. Then I always just take a peek underneath. Now, if this were still connected to the bottom assembly, I would simply lay this forward onto the keyboard. That's not possible because I pulled it out. So instead, you gotta kind of use some common sense. You know, not all these are gonna be the same. I don't know if you guys are watching it specifically for this laptop or you're using it just as a general guide. But you know, use a little common sense. Kind of watch where it is. You know, watch. Just you understand what I'm saying. Make sure you know. Make sure you know what you're. Make sure you know where you're yanking stuff and setting stuff. I'll leave that up to you guys. I'm not too concerned about this panel because this panel's already broken. Can't break it anymore. It's actually just going to get recycled. So, in lieu of giving me a little bit more wiggle room, go ahead and just kind of pull this cabling out here. Just kind of in case I yank it. I'm just overly cautious. So, all right, you'll see a little piece of tape that's ensuring that the cover is going to stay on here. What I like to do is just get something pointy, preferably plastic. But hey, use what you want, and just start prying up that tape a little bit. Now you can once you get it up enough, you can just take it off by finger, which is what I'm going to do. Now, I have worked for shops before that's a no-no. You don't put your oily hands on this stuff. In my case, it's all right because I'm not actually touching the connector that's going to be used. So now I got that kind of pulled back. And this is actually just going to yank out. And when I say yank, again, be light about it. See? It just pulls right out. Put that to the bottom of the board. Tape that right back into place. I don't want to damage that. And this cable's still good. I was going a little willy-nilly because this guy was actually supposed to ship this to me, but it's not damaged. None of the cables are pulled, and I was still really light with it. Maybe the little bit of the after treatment wasn't there. I wasn't necessarily storing it the greatest. Thankfully, I did keep it, but it is still in good condition. So that's good. All right. So now we have the panel. And now we have all the information we need. Now what I'll do is I'll scan these barcodes and see which one pertains to me. To be honest, I'm not exactly sure right now. But yeah, here's all the information. Now you'll be able to look up the panel, the display by exact display model number. That's going to make it really easy to work with. And a lot of times, because you know the exact panel number, you can find it even cheaper because you're being more specific. And so the more specific, sometimes the more expensive, but sometimes a little bit cheaper you can find it because you can kind of scour the webs. So yeah. So here's this nasty panel. This is gonna go, like I said, recycling. Please guys, don't just trash this. Please recycle them. Our environment's already destroyed enough. We don't need to be destroying it further. Recycle your used electronics, pretty please. All right guys, one other little side note. As you can see, I like taking all of the stuff I can and securing it to the piece of equipment I'm going to hold on to, because this is going to go in a more secure location. As soon as I'm off here, I'll kind of tape this down lightly. The other thing I did that I pulled from the LCD, the display there, is I removed the tag. So this has the model number that I need and everything like that. I put it all on here in case I ever, lose that information. I know that it's all here. I'm a super forgetful person. I'll throw stuff away. Sometimes I won't remember anything at all. Don't believe me? Ask my wife. I can be very forgetful, so I have to do things like this to remind myself. So I'm going to go ahead and order this part. Should be back in about a week, where I'm going to do a follow-up video on the reinstall and how to get this all back into place. And also, I'm going to be searching around for a new back lid. That's going to be a real easy, that's just going to be more about, finding a new back cover for it. So, but that is something also I'm going to replace. Other than that, this is a super nice laptop. It's got a 8th gen Core i3. It's got a 1 terabyte hard drive. One thing that's super cool in this, and I kind of thought was the future, but before SSD started getting real cheap, this has Intel Optane memory in it, and it's got a 16 gigabyte little Optane in it, and this thing makes this pretty quick. I tested to make sure this worked by plugging it into an external monitor, booting it up. There's nothing wrong with this component, and all the keys work, all the buttons work, so this sustained no damage. But yeah, it's a snappy little computer, and so it's going to be real cool to get this back together. Anyways, guys, thanks for following along. Thanks for watching the video. If you wouldn't mind giving a like and subscribing to the channel if you did enjoy the content. I am a new creator, so if there's anything you guys like to see, any suggestions, about video quality, sound, the way I display things, the way I talk. Sometimes I can use too technical of terms, or sometimes I'm the type of dude that'll say thingy and this, that, and the other thing without being too descriptive. That's just by habit. If I need to start writing scripts, I can. I try to do it more naturally and organically, but I am willing to do that. And yeah, so let me know what you guys thought of the video, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Peace.